The cold expanse of space stretched endlessly before the Selvari diplomat, Varen. He had seen countless worlds, spoken to hundreds of species, and observed civilizations rise and fall. Yet, as he stepped onto the human vessel, he felt something he had never felt before: an uneasy curiosity. The Galactic Senate had deemed humans a primitive, reckless species, a minor civilization barely worth mentioning in the grand politics of the universe. But rumors had spread. Whispers of battles where humans fought against impossible odds. Stories of their refusal to kneel, even when faced with superior technology. Varen had dismissed them all as exaggerations. Until now. The air inside the human ship was different from what he was used to. Warmer. Thicker. It smelled of metal, energy, and something strange, something almost alive. As he moved down the corridor, escorted by 2 human soldiers, he noticed how they walked. Not with the rigid discipline of most military races, nor with the cautious grace of diplomats. They moved with confidence, a quiet, unshaken certainty. They did not fear him, even though his own species, the Selvari, were known for their advanced intellect and technological superiority. At the end of the corridor, a door slid open, revealing a room with a single human inside. A man, sitting at a metal table, his posture relaxed, but his eyes sharp. His uniform was simple, dark blue with silver markings. A commander, perhaps. His gaze met Varen's, and for the first time in his long career, Varen felt something unexpected. A sense of being examined, measured, as if he was the one being studied. "You must be Varen," the human said, his voice steady. "I've read about your people. You believe in logic, efficiency, and cold calculations. I suppose that's why the Senate sent you." Varen tilted his head slightly, intrigued by the directness. Most species treated the Selvari with reverence or caution, fearing their intelligence. This human did neither. "And you are?" Varen asked, his voice smooth, calculated. "Commander Elias Carter," the man replied. "Welcome aboard the Vanguard." There was no arrogance in his tone, no unnecessary pleasantries. Just a simple introduction, as if he were speaking to an equal. That in itself was unusual. Most races either feared or resented the Selvari. But this human acted as though they stood on the same ground. "You're different from the others I have met," Varen admitted. Carter leaned back in his chair, a small smirk playing on his lips. "You've never met a human before, have you?" Varen hesitated. "I have observed your kind. From a distance." "Observation isn't understanding," Carter said. "You want to know what makes us different. You'll have to do more than just watch." Varen studied the man's face. Most species had predictable expressions, easy to read once one understood their culture. But with humans, there was always something beneath the surface. A hidden layer, something unspoken but powerful. "Why does the Senate fear you?" Varen asked. It was a direct question, but he knew the answer mattered more than the formality of conversation. Carter's smirk faded. His gaze turned serious. "Because we don't break." Varen frowned. "Every species has limits." The human shook his head. "Not like us." He leaned forward. "You see, most civilizations out here have their place in the galaxy. They accept the rules, follow the balance of power. But humans, we weren't made to obey. We weren't made to stay in one place. We push. We fight. We endure. And when someone tells us something is impossible, that's when we prove them wrong." There was no boasting in his words, no arrogance, just a quiet certainty. And that, more than anything, unsettled Varen. He had met warlords who spoke of conquest. He had met philosophers who spoke of wisdom. But he had never met a species that spoke of defiance as if it was a fundamental truth of their existence. "Your kind is reckless," Varen said finally. "You move without caution. You risked too much." Carter chuckled. "Maybe. But that's why we survive." Varen had come aboard this ship expecting to confirm what the Senate already believed, that humans were an unpredictable, dangerous nuisance. Instead, He found himself questioning everything he thought he knew. Something about these creatures was different. Not their strength, not their technology, but something deeper, something he couldn't quite define. As he stood to leave, Carter spoke again. "You're going to learn a lot about us, Varen. But the first thing you should know is this: humans don't surrender. Ever." Varen paused at the doorway. A quiet chill ran through him. He had seen empires fall. He had seen species wiped out. And yet, for the first time, he felt as though he was standing in the presence of something truly unstoppable. As the door closed behind him, one thought echoed in his mind. The Senate was wrong. Humanity was not to be underestimated. "You said." Varen sat in his private quarters aboard that Selvari diplomatic vessel, his mind restless. He had spent centuries studying species across the galaxy, yet his encounter with Commander Elias Carter left an unfamiliar sensation lingering in his thoughts: doubt. For the first time in his long career, he questioned the Senate's assessment of a race. Humanity was supposed to be primitive, impulsive, and reckless. Yet Carter had spoken with a quiet confidence that unsettled him. There was no arrogance, no bluster, just certainty. He replayed the conversation in his mind. Humans don't surrender. Ever. The words clung to him like a shadow. He had met warlords who spoke of power, diplomats who spoke of peace, but never a species that spoke of defiance as if it were a fundamental part of their existence. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. His communicator pulsed with an incoming message from the Selvari High Council. With a measured breath, he pressed the interface, and a holographic figure materialized before him. A senior counselor, her expression unreadable. "Ambassador Varen," she said, her voice crisp. "You have completed the initial phase of your assignment. What is your assessment of the humans?" Varen hesitated, something he had never done before. The logical answer was to repeat the Senate's view. Humans were unpredictable, unrefined, and prone to conflict. But now, after his meeting, he wasn't sure that was the truth. "They are different," he admitted carefully. The counselor's brow lifted slightly. "Elaborate." Varen chose his words with precision. "They possess a resilience unlike any species I have encountered. There is a certainty in their nature, a refusal to submit, even against overwhelming odds. They do not fear stronger forces. Instead, they challenge them." The counselor remained silent for a moment, then leaned forward. "Are they a threat to the balance of power?" Varen considered his answer. Humans did not behave like the empires that sought conquest. They did not move like the calculating species that thrived on politics and manipulation. But their nature, this defiance, it could not be ignored. "They are a danger," he said at last, "not because of their weapons, but because of their will. If provoked, they will not yield. And if underestimated, they will become something far greater than the Senate expects." The counselor exhaled sharply, her expression tightening. "That is a concerning assessment, Ambassador." Varen nodded. "It would be unwise to dismiss them." The counselor gave him a long look before the transmission ended, leaving Varen alone with his thoughts once more. He knew what would happen next. The Senate would increase its surveillance on humanity, studying their actions more closely. Some factions might even see them as a threat to be dealt with. And if the Senate made the wrong move? A soft knock at his door interrupted his contemplation. He turned, and the door slid open to reveal a junior Selvari officer, her face tense. "Ambassador," she said quickly, "we've received an urgent transmission from the human ship. They are requesting immediate contact." Varen stood without hesitation. Something was happening. Minutes later, he was once again aboard the Vanguard, standing before Commander Carter, who had an expression that Varen could not quite read. "We have a problem," Carter said, his tone devoid of its previous casualness. "One of your ships has entered restricted human space." Varen frowned. "That is unlikely. Selvari vessels do not breach territory agreements." Carter's gaze hardened. "Tell that to your people." Because if they don't turn back, we might have a situation neither of us wants. A quiet chill settled over Varen. He had come here to learn about humanity. But now, he feared he was about to witness what happened when they were pushed too far. The moment Varen stepped back onto his diplomatic vessel, he felt the shift in tension. His crew moved with urgency, their voices hushed but edged with concern. Something was wrong. He made his way to the command deck, where his second-in-command, Officer Relic, greeted him with a stiff nod. "Ambassador," Relic said, his voice tight, "we have confirmed the humans' report. The Zephyrus, one of our scout ships, has entered human-controlled space. They are not responding to our calls." Varen narrowed his eyes. The Zephyrus should not be anywhere near their borders. Who authorized this? Relic hesitated before answering. No one. It deviated from its assigned route without command approval. A rogue Selvari vessel, ignoring orders. That was unheard of. The Selvari prided themselves on discipline and precision. Their pilots did not simply wander into foreign territories without reason. Something was off. "Put me through to the human vessel," Varen ordered. Moments later, Carter's face appeared on the holo display. His expression was calm, but his eyes held a warning. "Tell me you have control over your people, Varen," Carter said. Varen didn't rise to the provocation. "We are investigating the situation. The Zephyrus should not be in your space. We are attempting to re-establish contact." Carter exhaled. "I'd recommend you hurry. My people don't take kindly to unknown ships trespassing in our backyard. We have patrols moving in." Varen stiffened. He had no doubt what that meant. The humans would not wait for an explanation. If they perceived the Zephyrus as a threat, they would act. "Give us time," Varen said. Carter folded his arms. "How much time do you think we have?" The word sent an uneasy chill through Varen. Humans were known for their patience and diplomacy, but they were also known for their decisiveness in war. "Enough," Varen said firmly. "Let me handle this." Carter studied him for a long moment, then gave a small nod. "You have 1 hour." The transmission cut out, and Varen turned sharply to Relic. "Find out why the Zephyrus is there. Now." Minutes later, the answer arrived, and it was worse than Varen had feared. "Ambassador," Relic said grimly, "we have intercepted partial transmissions from the Zephyrus. Their captain is not responding to high command because—" He hesitated. "Because what?" Varen demanded. Relic looked troubled. "Because they are searching for something. And based on their transmissions, it has to do with humanity." Varen felt a slow, sinking realization settle in his chest. That Selvari Senate had not been entirely honest with him. They had sent him to observe humanity, to assess them, but it seemed they had also sent others for a far more dangerous purpose. And now, if he did not act quickly, this situation could spiral into something that neither side would be able to control. "You said." Varen stood motionless as the weight of realization pressed down on him. The Zephyrus was not merely a rogue vessel. Someone in the Senate had sent it for a purpose beyond his mission. If the humans discovered that Selvari forces were secretly searching for something within their borders, it could spark a conflict neither side was prepared for. "Relay a direct message to the Zephyrus," Varen ordered, his voice tight. "I want to speak to their captain immediately." Relic's hands moved swiftly over the console, sending out the transmission. Minutes crawled by. Silence. No response. "Try again," Varen said, his unease growing. Before another attempt could be made, an urgent alert flashed across the command deck's displays. A new transmission was coming in, not from the Zephyrus, but from the human fleet. "Ambassador," Relic said, his voice tense, "Commander Carter is requesting an immediate connection." Varen braced himself as Carter's image flickered into view. This time, the human commander looked anything but calm. "You need to explain this now," Carter said, his voice like steel. "One of our patrols intercepted transmissions from your scout ship. They are scanning for something inside our borders. This wasn't an accident, was it?" Varen clenched his jaw. He didn't know the full truth, but he had enough pieces to understand the danger of this moment. He had no intention of lying. Carter would see through it. I was not informed of their true purpose, Varen admitted. I was sent to observe humanity through diplomacy, but it seems others were sent for a different mission. I do not know what they are searching for, but I intend to find out. Carter studied him, his expression unreadable. And what happens if we find out first? Varen felt the tension in those words. The humans were already moving. If they discovered something that exposed the Selvary's hidden agenda before he could intervene, any chance of peace could shatter in an instant. I need access to your patrol's data on the Zephyrus, Varen said. If you want answers, we must find them together. Carter's eyes narrowed. You're asking for a lot of trust, Ambassador. Varen met his gaze evenly. So are you. A long silence stretched between them. Then, Carter exhaled and nodded. Fine. I'll send you what we have. But if I find out you're playing both sides. You won't, Varen said firmly. The transmission cut, and Varen turned to Relic. The Senate is hiding something. We need to uncover the truth before the humans do. Relic nodded and brought up the patrol data from the human transmission. The scans revealed something chilling. The Zephyrus wasn't scanning randomly. It had a target. A single, unmarked research facility hidden deep within an asteroid field on the edges of human space. A facility the humans themselves had overlooked. Varen's breath caught. This wasn't just an accident. This was a secret that could change everything. And if the humans got to it first, the fragile balance between their species might not survive what came next. Varen's mind raced as he analyzed the data on the display. The Zephyrus had gone dark near a remote asteroid field on the fringes of human space, right where an unknown research facility was hidden. The humans hadn't even marked it in their own star charts, yet the Selvari had sent a scout ship directly to it. That was no coincidence. Someone in the Senate had known about this place. But how? And what could be inside that was worth this level of secrecy? We need to get there before the humans do, Varen said, his voice steady despite the storm of uncertainty brewing inside him. Prepare the ship for immediate departure. Relic hesitated. Ambassador, if the Senate gave orders behind your back, do you really think they'll let you interfere? The moment they realize you're digging into this, you could be branded a traitor. Varen exhaled sharply. If we let this escalate, war becomes inevitable. I will take that risk. Relic didn't argue further. He simply nodded and relayed the order. Within minutes, the diplomatic vessel was on the move, heading straight for the asteroid field. But Varen wasn't the only one racing toward answers. As they approached the coordinates, long-range sensors picked up multiple ships converging on the same location. 3 human warships. Fast, heavily armed. They were moving with purpose. Commander Carter isn't wasting time, Relic muttered. Varen opened a direct channel. Carter's face appeared, this time without the usual diplomatic restraint. His expression was sharp, calculating. You didn't waste any time getting here, Ambassador, Carter said, almost like you knew where to look. Varen didn't flinch. I suspect we are both asking the same question. What is in that facility? Carter studied him for a long moment before answering. We scanned it. The structure is old. Very old. But here's the part that concerns me. It's not human. A chill ran through Varen. Not Selvari either. Carter's silence confirmed his suspicions. An unknown structure, hidden inside human space. The Senate had knowledge of it, but so far had said nothing. If humanity hadn't discovered it, who had? And why was the Zephyrus trying to reach it in secret? Suddenly, an alarm blared across the command deck. Sir, a technician called out. The Zephyrus just powered up its weapons. Varen's blood ran cold. They're locking onto the human ships, Relic added. They're preparing to fire. Varen acted instantly. Open a channel to the Zephyrus. Override priority. Static. No response. Carter's voice cut in, sharp as a blade. "Ambassador, call off your ship, or we will defend ourselves." Varen gritted his teeth. The Zephyrus had just turned this situation from tense diplomacy into a potential war zone, and he had no idea why. The moment the Zephyrus powered its weapons, Varen knew control of the situation was slipping through his fingers. The Selvari scout ship had gone silent. No communication, no explanation. It was acting as though its crew had a mission they were willing to die for. On the display, he saw the human warships move into an attack formation. If the Zephyrus fired first, the humans would respond with overwhelming force. There would be no going back from that. "Relic, jam their weapons systems," Varen ordered. "We don't have direct access to their controls," Relic said, fingers flying over the console. "I can try scrambling their targeting, but if they override it, do it." Relic worked fast. The Zephyrus hesitated, its targeting scanners flickering erratically. It hadn't fired yet, but the delay wouldn't last long. "Ambassador," Carter's voice came through, colder than ever. "I don't know what game you're playing, but if your ship even blinks in the wrong direction, we'll turn it to dust." Varen clenched his fists. "This is not my doing. Someone has hijacked the chain of command." Carter's eyes narrowed. "Then you have 1 minute to prove it before I make the call." Varen turned to Relic. "Get me into their systems. Anything. Communications, logs. I need to know who's giving those orders." The seconds ticked by. Tension filled the air like a storm ready to break. Then something unexpected happened. The Zephyrus suddenly cut its weapon systems. Engines flaring, it broke formation and shot toward the asteroid field at full speed. "What the?" Carter started. "They're making a run for the facility," Relic said, shock in his voice. "They're ignoring the human ships completely." Varen's mind raced. That meant only one thing. The Zephyrus's mission wasn't to fight. It was to reach whatever was inside that hidden facility, at all costs. "Commander Carter," Varen said urgently, "if your ships destroy them now, we lose our chance to find out what's really happening." Carter's jaw tightened. He was caught in the same impossible decision. Then another alert flashed on the screen, something no one had anticipated. A power surge from the facility. A massive energy signature, rising from deep within the asteroid itself. And then, an activation signal. Varen's breath caught. The Zephyrus hadn't just found something inside that facility. It had woken it up. A deep, resonating pulse rippled outward from the asteroid field, washing over every ship in the sector. Varen felt the tremor through his vessel's hull, a sensation both unnatural and eerily familiar, like something ancient had just stirred. "Massive energy spike detected," Relic shouted. "It's coming from the facility." On the display, the Zephyrus sped toward the asteroid, seemingly oblivious to the rising power levels. The human warships hesitated, their formation shifting as they recalculated the situation. Then, without warning, the asteroid's surface cracked. A structure, buried beneath the rock for what could have been millennia, slowly emerged. It was vast, larger than any known station in human or Selvari space. Strange geometric patterns lined its exterior, glowing faintly as power flowed through it. Varen's breath caught. This wasn't Selvari. This wasn't human. This was something else entirely. A new alert blared through the command deck. "Incoming transmission," Relic said, eyes wide. "It's not from any ship." Varen hesitated only a second. "Put it through." Static filled the air, then a voice, low, layered, and alien beyond anything he had ever heard before. "Who awakens us?" The words sent a chill through Varen's bones. Carter's face appeared on the comms. "Ambassador, what the hell is this?" "I don't know," Varen admitted. "But I think we just found what the Zephyrus was sent to find." Before Carter could respond, the transmission continued. "This territory is forbidden. Leave or be consumed." Then, all across the display, the asteroid field moved. Not debris, not lifeless rock. Ships. Hundreds of them, ancient, alien, and now fully awake. The Zephyrus had triggered something far beyond a simple research facility, and now they were all trapped in its gaze. The alien fleet stirred like a waking beast, their ships, dark and jagged, unfolded from the asteroid field, their hulls pulsing with eerie energy. Varen's mind raced. How long had these vessels been buried? And why were they hidden here, of all places? Multiple power signatures detected, Relic reported. Weapons. Charging. Varen turned to Carter, whose face was grim. Ambassador, tell me you have an explanation for this. I don't, Varen admitted, but right now we need to get out of here. The Zephyrus wasn't listening. It pressed forward toward the structure, as if answering a silent call. Then, a brilliant beam of energy erupted from the largest alien vessel. The Zephyrus never stood a chance. The blast struck the scout ship dead center, and in an instant, it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just erased from existence. Silence filled the command deck. They didn't just fire on us, Relic whispered. That was something else. Carter acted fast. All ships, evasive maneuvers, prepare to retreat. The human warships turned, their engines flaring. Varen's ship followed, but the alien fleet moved unnaturally fast, cutting off their escape routes. Another transmission came through. You were warned. A second beam fired, this time at the lead human warship. The shield absorbed it for a brief moment before collapsing. Hull plating dissolved like ice in a furnace. The ship vanished. Varen's chest tightened. This wasn't just advanced weaponry. This was technology far beyond human or exhilarating understanding. Carter's voice cut through the chaos. Ambassador, we can't fight this. We need a way out. Varen's mind worked frantically. The alien ships weren't chasing them. They were holding their ground. Defenders, guardians, which meant there had to be something they were protecting. His gaze snapped to the structure. We don't run, he said. We go inside. Carter hesitated. Are you insane? They're not letting anyone leave, Varen argued. But the Zephyrus wasn't trying to escape. It was trying to reach the structure. Why? Carter clenched his jaw, but after a second, he nodded. You better be right about this, Ambassador. Together, the remaining ships turned, not away, but toward the massive alien facility. The defenders hesitated, as if confused. That was their chance. As the ships approached the entrance, the alien voice returned. Only one may enter. Choose. The meaning was clear. Varen took a deep breath. Open the airlock, he said. I'm going in.